Hello, good evening and welcome back. So, disdain for the arts industry increases, given that in the Brits 2020, Dave wins Album of the Year and calls Prime Minister racist, because obviously that is so edgy and cool and nobody else would have thought to call the Prime Minister racist, and oh my god, you're speaking up and you're speaking truth to power by doing all this, obviously being heralded so highly as well as Stormzy and doing so well and selling out concerts. It's clearly racism that's holding you back. Otherwise, who knows where you would be, and who knows how well you would be doing if there wasn't such a racist culture that you could capitalize on and guilt trip people into giving you money. And if it wasn't actually racist, then you would have nothing to rap about, and then you'd just be back to encouraging young people, young black boys predominantly, to get into a terrible industry and have terrible lives by getting into gangs. So hey, I suppose it's just as well we have racism. Then you can speak truth to power instead of encouraging boys to end their lives young. So I guess that's a good thing. And I mean, you should really show us by how sophisticated and understanding you are of culture by wearing a tracksuit to an award ceremony. That clearly shows us all up, for you are clearly superior. Yes. So London rapper Dave won Album of the Year at the Brits moments after calling the Prime Minister a racist. Oh yes, this backsliding so-called conservative Prime Minister who seems to be giving into all the leftist propaganda is such a racist. Yeah, I mean, God, they don't have nearly enough quotas, don't you know? This affirmative action isn't nearly enough to pay for the plantations and the slave trade which the UK ended. No, definitely not. And it definitely isn't doing enough by having hate crimes, which means that if it's against a black person, it's a hate crime, but if it's against a white person, then nobody gives a shit. No, that definitely isn't happening. So the Prime Minister's definitely racist, yes. The Star took home the night's main award for his provocative personal album, Psychodrama, which also won last year's Mercury Prize. Oh yeah, the BBC loves it when it's provocative in this style, don't they? Yes. Not if it's actually honest. But it was his fiery performance of the single Black which stole the show. In such a racist country, I mean, God, you would think that a single with the title of Black would never get anywhere, and yet it's just won an award. Wow. Looks like this is all bullshit, doesn't it, Dave? Yeah, seems like you're lying through your teeth. Seems like you're just pushing an agenda with no interest in actually what is going on in the real world. Interesting. In a newly written verse, he called out the government response to Grenfell and said, "The truth is our Prime Minister is a real racist." Yes, not that it's been given the go-ahead and supported by Labour for so long, and not that Labour actually actively knew that there were problems with the cladding and just wanted it to get done because they didn't care for the people inside. No, it's definitely the Conservatives, and Boris Johnson in particular, who was a racist. Yeah. He also attacked the tabloid coverage of the Duchess of Sussex and made a reference to London Bridge terror attack victim Jack Merritt. Because obviously the Duchess of Sussex, who knew what she was getting married into, and then decided to essentially kidnap Harry's child to take him to Canada and say that he's not being able to see his child again unless he escapes with her. The response to that was definitely racism, and not because she was misleading and just a horrible person throughout the entire ordeal. No, it's definitely racism. And made so 2 years after, Stormzy demanded, "Where's the money for Grenfell?" And clearly, because we're so racist, when he said that, he was castigated aside and definitely then didn't headline festivals around the country. No, except he did. On the Brit stage, Dave updated the lyrics saying, "Grenfell victims still need accommodation." Yes, and they also need legal citizenship and be in the country where they can legally be. Oh yeah. Oh, maybe they would have actually been able to find the fire exits if it was written in Arabic instead. Oh yes. And we still need support for the Windrush generation, reparations for the time our people spent on plantations, he added. Yeah, 200 years ago when we ended slavery, even though we started it about 1,000 years ago. And in fact, of course, during Elizabeth I's reign, the privateers were there to stop the slave trade when the Africans were selling their own people. Given that slavery has been widely done for tens of thousands of years, if not hundreds of thousands of years, that the strong would make slaves of the weak. And we went to Africa and we weren't forcing them into slavery, but instead were buying the blacks from their richer black captors. And of course we had such a large black population in the West now because they would have children, whereas of course in the Middle East they don't have such a big black population because they literally castrate them, and they still have open air slave markets. But we won't go into that because hey, it's all about the hierarchy of the oppression Olympics, isn't it? So we can't go into that. It's clearly just a white man's burden this whole fucking time. Let's just all forget about all the innovation that was done by the enlightened society, which also put an end to slavery. Let's ignore all that, and let's say, oh, white people are so bad. We should all be like, oh, Wakanda, clearly so stunning, so brave. Even though if you look at a real life example, it's Liberia, which is an utter shithole, and obviously nobody wants to move there because it is so shit. But yes, white people are so bad. So the lyrics were added as a final verse to Black, which talks about perceptions and experiences of black people in the UK. Yes, except having all the opportunities of white people and more so, and having things in your favour because of quotas. But oh, so racist. The 21-year-old, so worldly wise, so stunning and brave, is now only the second act to win Best Album at the Brits and the Mercury Prize for the same record. Because we're so racist. The first was the Arctic Monkeys. Yeah, well done, Arctic Monkeys. You might have actually won the meritocracy. So they also mention Caroline Flack. Of course, hit her boyfriend over the head with a lamp and even tipped over a table when the police arrived afterwards. And when she was going to be facing justice, she killed herself. And obviously that is sad, no doubt about it. And unfortunately, suicide seems to be a growing epidemic, and that is dreadful news. I don't think anybody should be feeling in a place where they think that killing themselves is the only way out. I do believe that there is always hope, and anybody who thinks of killing themselves, to echo Dr. Gundam McCann, for fuck's sake, don't kill yourself. If you're thinking of killing yourself, then you're exactly the kind of person, the self-centered, thoughtful person who we need more of. It's the people who don't give a shit about how much they upset others that we don't need more of. But if you're actually thinking of killing yourself, not just talking about it for attention, but actually considering killing yourself, then don't, because we do need more people like you. So, for fuck's sake, don't kill yourself. But when it comes to something like this and they just bring gender into it, well, my response is always, I don't give a shit about gender. But if you're going to bring it up, then I'm just going to show you how hypocritical you are and how full of shit you are. To say, oh, this woman abuser, the justice was catching up to her, and then she killed herself, and we're so sorry because she was such a vibrant, happy person, and she was so delightful. So, yeah, well, she was also self-harming, so she clearly wasn't that happy. And then she was taking it out on her boyfriend, so she clearly wasn't that loving either. And then she decided to kill herself. Not exactly the strong role model you want there, is it? What if men killed themselves when they face justice? Is that awful? No, they got what was coming to them. Well, stop drawing this delineation. If you want men and women to be the fucking same, then stop having favourites based on gender, you utter hypocrites. At least I can say that I do believe that women are fragile and valued, and that men, if they wish to feel happy within themselves, they wish to take care of their female partner. But if the woman wishes to stab them in the back by using extra privileges granted by law to use against the man, then they're utter cunts and should be discarded without a second moment's thought. So, best male artist went to Stormzy, because of course it fucking did. But, hey, even after all these BAME, black, Asian, minority, ethnic, okay, black, and also being such a fantastic year for women, of course, you can't have that. You can't have them saying that after all that this ceremony has done to try and play to the progressive narrative, after all it's done, you can't say that they've actually done a good job. No, of course they bloody can't. Instead of that, they mentioned, so few women have been nominated. Yeah, there aren't enough women here. And bear in mind, we don't think that women should be granted things. They should all be on meritocracy, but there aren't enough women here. There should be more women nominated. So yeah, but what? So if you don't want them done because of quotas and you want them to actually earn it, then what you seem to be saying is women aren't very good, which seems to be a remarkably sexist thing to say, unless you're saying there should be more quotas, in which case you're basically just saying anything you do to appease these bloody pixies will never be good enough. Ever. No matter what you do. You will literally just have to sterilize and castigate all white men, because clearly all straight white men are evil, and you can't have anything to do with them whatsoever. So Dave wasn't the only artist to make a political statement, because we all know how stunning and brave it is to speak out against the Conservatives in 2020. With Tyler, the creator, referencing the fact he'd been banned from entering the UK in 2015 over some of his lyrics. Oh, is this like Lauren Southern saying that Aloe is gay and therefore she was held on terrorist charges? But responding to people saying Jesus is gay to saying Aloe is gay, and now she's a terrorist. Is it just like that? No, of course it fucking isn't, is it? But hey, he's black, so we should listen to him. And not the white lady who's actually a... No, I don't know if I can say it. A conservative? No way. As in, a lady who's actually done documentary work into the genocide of white farmers in South Africa, and has actually spoken to migrants from the third world into Europe, saying how awful it is now and how they were misled by the traffickers and the NGOs, and how any organisation that is trying to bring more people to Europe is actually doing a shit job, both for the natives and also the people that it brings over here. No, we can't have her in here because, hey, she's actually honest. But Dave should clearly be allowed. I mean, talking about gang culture and encouraging people to kill and traffic drugs, that's clearly fine. Actively calling people to break the law, there's no problem with that, and trying to cause harm and disbanding families in the black neighborhoods, and then encouraging the need for them to be stop and searched more, like Mike Bloomberg, the Democratic candidate, has said. Yeah, that's clearly not a problem. So he says, a special thank you to someone who made it impossible for me to come to this country 5 years ago. I know she's at home pissed off. Thank you, Theresa May. Oh wow, so stunning, so brave to speak badly against Prime Minister who's now gone, and we'll do nothing against you anyway, because we all know we can't, because you're black and therefore you've got a protected characteristic because you're not a straight white man. So stunning, so brave. But for what it's worth, he dedicated his trophy to anyone hoping to follow in his footsteps, saying, all my young kings and queens that are chasing their dreams, I'm no different from you. You can do anything you put your mind to. So I'm glad there was at least that. If you have a dream to actually shift the Overton window to the right and create an actual right-wing party, and actually allow people to be individuals and not be given special privileges because of their race, if you want people to be individuals and not have quotas and privileges and grants and being given the benefits of the doubt for unalienable characteristics, if you want people to be able to make a life for themselves and not have it taken from them by the government in order to pay for things that they don't believe in and to steal from them to pay for murder, then you can do that. You can do anything you put your mind to. So, on that note, thank you, Dave. I think it's right that, who knows, if some young child was listening then, they might grow up and create an actually true nationalist party.